Day 71, verses 21 to 23, when action becomes an offering. Namaste and welcome to Gita 360. Previously, the Gita described the paradox of finding stillness in action, learning that true peace comes from finding an inner stillness while fully dedicated to responsibilities. Today, verses 21 to 23 take that thought further, showing us the everyday reality of someone who has achieved this mental state. Free from expectations and the sense of ownership, with the mind and intellect fully controlled, they incur no sin even though performing actions by their body. The Gita points out that a person who acts from a place of inner stillness is free from the constant urge to possess, control, or hold. Such individuals are described as Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. They have given up the need to claim ownership over everything around them. They perform actions necessary for life, yet remain untouched by inner disturbance. When one drops the anxiety of constantly needing to protect their turf, secure their status, or accumulate more than they need, their mind shifts to a different state. This verse explains that such people keep their body and life moving without letting their ego get entangled. Their actions are no longer driven by a constant inner dependence as they work in divine consciousness and thus are released from all sins. Content with whatever gain comes of its own accord, they are free from envy and the dualities of life. Being stable in success and failure, they are not bound by their actions, even while performing all activities. This verse gives us a clear perspective of what such an unburdened life looks like on a daily basis. The Gita uses three distinct phrases to describe this state of mind. Yadra cha labha santushto, being genuinely satisfied with whatever comes naturally through one's honest effort, without constantly looking at what someone else has achieved. Dvandvatito, rising above the rigid dualities of life like praise and blame, pleasure and pain, or comfort and discomfort. They recognize that these states are cyclic and temporary. Vimatsaraha, being entirely free from envy and competition. The Gita emphasizes that such a person remains steady whether their efforts are successful or not. When your sense of worth is not riding on a roller coaster of changing circumstances, you can execute your duties fully, yet your mind remains entirely light and free. They are released from the bondage of material attachments and their intellect is established in divine knowledge. Since they perform all actions as a sacrifice, yajna, they are freed from all karmic reactions. This verse describes a person whose attachments have melted away and whose mind is firmly established in awareness. When such a person works, they perform their duties in the spirit of yajna, a contribution or a selfless offering rather than a goal of personal gain. For someone operating with this mindset, the psychological residue, the anxiety, and the emotional baggage of their work completely dissolves. They complete their responsibilities in peace, with a clear mind and soul, and do not suffer from any karmic reactions of their deeds. It's a common human tendency to carry an invisible psychological weight around what we do. We become attached not only to the things we own, but also to the identities we build around them. Success begins shaping how we see ourselves. recognition starts affecting our self worth. Even ordinary responsibilities slowly become emotionally heavy because we begin tying a sense of peace to how well everything unfolds. But because the world is inherently unpredictable, this keeps us in a constant state of anxiety. We become hyper reactive to every setback, treating even the most minute deviations as a huge threat. But there is an alternative that these three verses show us: living a life where we accept the dualities of life around us and stop reacting to them. Think of how much lighter your day would feel if you dropped the exhausting burden of comparison. Imagine taking a decision without the paralyzing fear of failure, because you know that an unexpected outcome cannot diminish who you are. This is not about becoming passive, lazy, or indifferent to quality. In fact, when you stop wasting internal energy on envy, defensiveness, or anxiety about the failure, you finally have the mental space to be your absolute best in the present moment. Thought of the day: possessions, achievements, and recognition may become part of our lives, but they do not have to become the foundation of our peace. Pause for a moment today and reflect. How much of my inner stability depends on things outside me remaining exactly the way I want them to be? Thank you for joining me on Geeta 360. May we cultivate a steady mind that allows us to meet both success and failure with the same grace, honesty, and inner freedom.